My name is Radhakrishnan. I joined ISRO way back in 35 years ago. And currently I am Chairman and Managing Director of New Space India Limited, which is the public sector enterprise and the Department of Space. And we are primarily involved in doing commercialization of space activities and trying to ensure that there is a lot of participation that happens at the Indian industry through opening up the space sector. I think this particular institute is very interesting, and I'm also very happy because my son also studied in this institute in electronics and instrumentation engineering. He passed out 2 years back, so I have good memories of this particular college. I'm not very familiar with the kind of topics that get discussed in the TEDx, but I thought it's a good opportunity because the audience here being quite academic, and I see students coming from many engineering students as well as other faculty members here. I think it will be interesting for them to get just a kind of a glimpse of what the Indian space program is about, and if somebody is trying to look into the kind of businesses they have to do in the area of the space, what are the kind of opportunities that would be available to them. The Indian space program, the Indian space ecosystem that has been evolved. We started the program way back in 1963. It began in Trivandrum, the southernmost part of India, for its advantage in terms of the geomagnetic equator which is located there. And initially the program started with the launching of sounding rockets. I don't know how many of you will be really familiar about it, so I will try to not to be too technical. But if you look at the space system as such, now we basically talk about the three main pillars. What we say is one is the launch vehicles, which are the rockets in a general layman language, and then there are satellites, which we talk about, which becomes the space assets, and then there are downstream application which happens. So when you're talking about the main pillars of the space program, these are the three primarily important components. We need to have an access to space. If you have to take something to space, we need a launch vehicles. So you can see the Indian Space Research Organization, which has developed almost a fleet of launch vehicles, starting from a small satellite launch vehicle SSLV, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle, and GSLV Mark III. I think you may be wondering why so many varieties of launch vehicles are required. Now, if you look at it, the Indian Space Program, as I mentioned, we started the program in 1963. Every new launch vehicle development, every rocket development takes almost 15 to 20 years for it to really come to the state, because the kind of technology and the kind of effort that is required to design, qualify, test, and then really go to the space, it is really a long gestation time. And Indian Space Research Organization for the last 6 decades have realized almost 6 to 7 types of launch vehicle, primarily because the kind of satellites that has to be launched into space varies in mass. If you look at the history in the 80s, when we had a rocket called SLV-3, it had a capability of launching 50 kilograms into low Earth orbit, which is around 400 to 500 kilometers. Today, I think Indian Space Research Organization possesses a rocket which can take 10,000 kg. That is the kind of growth it has gone into. So what we are doing is, using these launch vehicles, we are launching satellites into space. And the satellites that are put into the space provides you various kind of application programs, be it for television broadcasting, DTH, broadband services. That's on the communication side. When you look at the resource monitoring, natural resources monitored, crop acreage, and even urban planning, rural connectivity. In fact, some of the other applications which you would have seen through the use of space technology has been the providing the telemedicine and teleeducation support also. And many times you will find in the time of disaster management, the satellite data becomes extremely important for us to utilize. So if you look at in a nutshell the kind of achievement that has done, in ISRO we have done almost 87 launch vehicle missions using all these launches. We have launched 116 satellites for national use, basically the communications and Earth observation. We have also performed pre-entry missions when the objects are put into space. We need to bring it back also as a kind of a technology demonstrator. As you would have heard, I think Indian Space Research Organization is also planning to carry humans into space and bring them back. So these are some of the re-entry technology demonstration mission that has been done. In addition to that, almost 250 applications, programs which has been depicted in the picture here are being served using this kind of space ecosystem that exists here. I think as an Indian, I would say we should be very proud that all these technologies has been realized within the country indigenously. Be it building the rockets, building satellites, or making the application program under one roof, under ISRO. I think all this has been realized over almost 6 decades of activity. And in terms of our ranking in the world, I think there are only 6 spacefaring nations who have the capability to build rockets, satellites, and also carry out the application programs. So what we have been doing also commercially is, in addition to launching and building satellite for national use, and the kind of capability that exists in India, the international customers also have been very actively utilizing our services. In fact, we have launched almost 380 satellites from 34 countries using our own indigenously developed rockets in India. Now, if you look at the global space economy, all this realization that has been done in India over the last 6 decades, so which eventually says we have a very good ecosystem that exists in India in terms of the facilities, in terms of the technology, in terms of the capability that is there. I think I would say all the private entrepreneurs who are trying to take up activities in the area of space, they should be very, I would say, thankful for the kind of effort ISRO has put and the facility that has been established here, which can be fully exploited for commercial purposes. So if you look at the global space economy today, it's not a small number. The global space industry today is almost 366 billion. I think this is a number which is taken up in 2020. But today, if you look at the global space economy, it is almost 400 billion US dollars. And out of which, what is very interesting is 270 to 300 billion is the global satellite industry. So now, if you look at the breakup of this total investment, why I'm trying to bring this particular point here is, what is the kind of commerce that is existing in the area of space? Many people would like to take up space as one of their passion and to develop either satellites, launch vehicles, or maybe the applications. You will find almost 80 to 90% of the commerce lies in satellite services. When you talk about the satellite services, primarily there are 2 important components. One is the SATCOM services, where we talk about broadcasting, TV, DTH, and our news gathering networks. Other is the most emerging connectivity services, basically broadband, mobility, your GPS, VSATs, and other services. So almost 80 to 90% of the revenue lies in this. So this is one area where I think the people, the private entrepreneurs can really look into investing and trying to do businesses in the area of satellite services. If you look at the other 2 most technologically challenging area, one is the launch industry. I know launch industry, in terms of the percentage of the economy, it's only 4 to 5%. But the kind of investment that goes into realizing a launch vehicle to attain that maturity, as I mentioned, it takes almost 15 years plus. There is not much revenue or commerce existing there. So these 2 technologically challenging areas of satellite building and the launch industry totally amounts to less than 5 to 10%. So I would only request the people who are in the future planning to do some activity in the area of space, the areas they should concentrate is only in the services segment, which is mostly called as a downstream elements. Just to conclude, what are the basic emerging business opportunities that exist in the area of space? As you would have heard, the government of India has opened up the space sector, where the private entrepreneurs can utilize the facilities and the technology know-how that exists in ISRO in the area of space. And with the opening of the space sector, I know many Indian private players are trying to take up the activity in this particular area. So this is going to provide you more opportunities because of the opening of the space sector, and some of the young talented engineers and management executives who are ready to work in this niche area of space can come in a big way to create a big space infrastructure within India. And I am seeing of late in the last 2 to 3 years, a lot of private Indian industries have emerged as trying to emerge as a space manufacturing world where they are building rockets, satellites, and also doing a lot of application areas. So this is one of the newer innovation that has happened in the last 3 to 4 years with the opening of the space sector. And I would also recommend that development of downstream applications, especially in the area of software solutions, utilizing the satellite data, which can be used for many applications. What I listed is only maybe a handful, like infrastructure planning, crop insurance, asset tracking, navigation, traffic management. But there are a host of downstream applications which both the software and IT people, or maybe even the engineering graduates, can venture into this particular area of activity. Now you would have also seen in the world over, people are coming up with the broadband services using the satellites in the low Earth orbit, 5G, 4G networks. So broadband services is going to enable a lot of ground segment networks and equipments manufacturing in India, eventually transforming India into a space manufacturing hub. And I would say the current contribution of Indian space economy into the global market is of around 2 to 3%. And our effort in the next 5 to 10 years is to ensure how to increase India's space market economy share in the global market. And our target is something like 8 to 10%, we should take it up. In fact, our company, when we started in 2019, we had first year the revenue of around 300 crores. And within 3 to 4 years, our annual revenue of the company has gone almost 3,000 crores per year. And we plan in the next 2 years, we'll be touching around 5,000 crores. So there is a lot of potential for the people to work in the area of, in the really niche area of space. And wherever I go and speak, I always mention that I think the companies and the people in India are very fortunate to have the entire space ecosystem in terms of the technology and the facilities which are available, which is not available in many other countries, even if they want to get into the area of space. So I would request everybody to utilize this opportunity and the opportunity that it has provided through opening of the space sector, where you can reach out to us and we'll guide you in all technology developments and any other information that you would like to share with us. Thank you very much.